Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Dill, one of the more fascinating matchups that we're going to see on the Saturday slate, this new version of Florida going on the road and playing Texas A&M. And let's start with Texas A&M. Dill, to us, this is one of the more impressive teams that we've seen in the country to start the 2025 season. Going up against a Florida team that it ain't no secret. Both of us picked Florida to make the college football playoffs way back in August. We finally saw the version of Florida that we expected Saturday afternoon against Texas. What version of Florida do we get in this football game? What version of DJ Lagway do we get? That's probably where this conversation starts. And Dill, I'll say this. Am I giving Dallas Wilson too much credit? Maybe. You inject Dallas Wilson into this offense, and all of a sudden this offense feels a little bit different. I'll say this too. Offensive line, the best performance we've seen from this offensive line in 2025 as well. A lot of really fun matchups to get into with this football game. And I think to a lot of Texas A&M fans that follow this sport closely, they're very aware that, look, Florida's 2-3. They have not played a lot of good football in 2025, but this is a team that is very capable of going on the road and beating Texas A&M in College Station. Going to be a fun one. Before we get into it, as always, Florida fans, Texas A&M fans, let it fly in the comment section. Dill, two fan bases that have shown a ton of support to the boys the last couple of years. We appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, without further ado, look, I'm going to mix it up with you. And I want to start with this Texas A&M offense. Going up against the Florida defense that, Dill, sneaky has been really good all year. When you look at this Texas A&M offense, what's the biggest storyline that you're monitoring against the Florida defense that's been very, very solid to start 2025?
It's probably like that physicality matchup, like a really big physical Texas A&M offensive line versus a big physical defensive line in Florida.
On the inside of that defensive line, do you not have question marks? Because I'm happy that that's where you started. I think a lot of people will start with Marcel Reed and Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion. Where I'm looking at this still is Texas A&M, when they want to get to some duo and some inside zone and run between the tackles, they can move bodies off the line of scrimmage. And I'm looking at Florida without Caleb Banks and say, well, just how big and physical is it?
See, I don't know. Like, I just go watch them just pound Texas. And I thought Texas, like, you go back to the Ohio State game, they ran the ball pretty well. I think they had damn near 170 yards in that game. That's a good rushing attack, especially for a team that was struggling to possess the ball because their quarterback was bad.
Yeah.
And Florida thumped them. And it's not just about the defensive tackles. Hey, I think those young kids are playing really, really well.
I agree.
Ryan Taylor came out of nowhere and had an excellent game against Texas. So you got some guys stepping up for Caleb Banks.
Yep.
But you also can't discount the fact that you have the best run-playing edges in the game, probably led by Tyreek Sapp. So it's a front four to me that has been really hard to just go pound on consistently.
So my question is, we saw Miami do that a little bit a couple of weeks ago. Is this Texas A&M offensive line closer to Miami? Or is it closer to Texas?
But that's where you get into, and a lot of this will come down to Florida's offense, because in the Miami game, Florida just didn't have the ball. I mean, DJ Lagway was horrific in that game. So, like, I think Florida got worn down a bit by that Miami team. Yep. If Florida can, on the other side, possess the ball, this is a front seven that is not an easy team to run on, especially when you consider linebackers are right up there with the best.
And to me, that's what makes Texas A&M so dangerous. Because you talk about this matchup last year, stingy front seven that's good against the run. Well, what answers does Texas A&M have on offense? They were not exactly a team that could drop back and throw the football 40 times a game and go put up points. This year, it's a different version. Number one, the Texas A&M offensive line and pass protection, way better than what it was in 2024. But more importantly than that, Marcel Reed has taken a step. And even more importantly than that, we got difference makers on the outside. And Dill, Texas A&M's ability to be explosive in the passing attack, that's what makes this team, in my opinion, national championship caliber in 2025. They just didn't have those dudes last year. And then I'm looking at Florida. Say, hey, they dominated Texas. Ain't no question about that. What was the problem that we saw? How did Texas have a chance to stay in that game?
They were giving up big plays when they had time, and that's the thing. That's going to be the real battle. Like, is Texas A&M going to be able to pass protect against this unit? Because, again, I look – when they have time, yeah, Florida has been picked on a little bit for sure, and it was highlighted better than what Texas was able to do. Because Arch Manning, actually, like you look statistically, not a horrible game from him. Yeah, turn the ball over a little bit. They put up some yards on that Florida team through the air. So that's where you wonder. Marcel Reed, he's been pretty dialed. He's not making the same number of mistakes, but a lot of it still depends on how good this pass protection is. And that's probably the most improved unit for this Texas A&M team at the end of the day.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. We can talk about explosive plays vertically down the field. That's one thing. What makes Texas A&M kind of special is they have the ability to be explosive and not just have to push the ball vertically down the field. Hey, get it to Mario Craver or KC in space. Good things are going to happen. And here's the other storyline. Kermani McLean, who I had a tough game against Texas, was not his best game, but it's been pretty damn good to start 2025. Tackling in space has not historically been his strong suit as a football player. Well, guess what? Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion, they're some of the hardest cats to tackle in space that you see in the country. Does Texas A&M say, hey, we're going to make you tackle, run, chase, and tackle us in space? That's another way I think Texas A&M can maybe have some success because, Dill, I'm with you. As good as Texas A&M's offense has been, their ability to run the football, their ability to throw the football, their ability to be explosive, hold up, and pass protection, to me, this might be the best defense that they've seen. And that's saying something because I do like Auburn's defense, and I think Florida's probably a little bit better, at least the version of Florida that we saw Saturday afternoon.
Well, I think Florida's a little more well-equipped to play that physicality game because A&M got to that. That's really what broke the dam open in that Auburn game was they really just started to lean on them. Auburn's a little bit on the small side with their depth in terms of their defensive front. Florida, to me, I think you're sleeping on how good this front, even without Caleb Banks.
That's probably the biggest sticking point that we have in this game. I'm not sure if I trust Florida's interior defensive line. You seemingly do. That might be the story in this game because, look, Texas A&M, if they can start moving some bodies, they can just lean on you and play some good defense.
You're right. That is what makes A&M challenging is they have various paths to victory in this game. And you look on the other side right now, it doesn't feel like Florida probably has as many because, frankly, if they don't run the ball well, it's just been such a disaster from what DJ's been able to do. The pass pros falling apart. If Florida can't get the run game going, I just don't see how they have a ton of success.
That's the storyline. Can you come on the road and run the football? And Dill, to Texas A&M's credit, man, the last 2 weeks, they have been so freaking nails stopping the run. Look, it starts with DJ Hicks in the middle of that defensive line. He's taken a step. Tyler Rowe from Iowa State, he's been very, very good. But the storyline is these two backers, right? Scooby Williams, familiar face for the Florida fans, he's been dinged. He's been out with an injury. In comes Damian Sanford. In terms of linebacker play, it hasn't gotten much better than that in the SEC between him and Torian York the last 2 weeks. It's going to be big, Dill. Jaden Baugh is a very tough cat to tackle.
And he's a patient runner. That's the one thing I'm kind of looking for because what's been the real issue has been tackling, but also fitting the run well. Jaden Baugh really, I think, challenges linebackers to fit well because you look at how patient he is. And frankly, we saw some moments in the Notre Dame game, if you go back a couple of weeks, where they didn't fit the run particularly well. They let guys bounce to the outside. Jaden Baugh has been a really good running back in terms of if your linebackers make mistakes, he does make you pay for it because he runs with that kind of more patient style. That's probably the thing I'm looking at because Auburn, frankly, would have been the other rushing attack that would have maybe scared you. It's a little bit of a different attack. Auburn's kind of just straight at you from that spread system. I'm kind of curious to see that more heavy set that Florida likes to play. Can you deal with that patient running?
Because that's where it starts. If you can stop the run and make DJ Lagway drop back and throw the football 40 times in this game, one, the crowd's going to be really loud. And number two, look, Florida was very solid in pass protection. I still got question marks about that right tackle spot with Caden Jones, right? Well, guess what? Who's going to be lining across from him? It's arguably the best pass rusher in the SEC, and his name is Cassius Howell. And the boys will just continue to bang the table for this kid until everybody starts knowing his name. That's a matchup that I'm looking at because DJ Lagway, I think it's fair to say clearly not 100% from an athleticism standpoint, cannot get himself out of trouble as well as we would expect. Well, look, Cassius Howell pinning his ears back, that's a storyline. The other story here, though, and we probably should have led with this or at least referenced it a little bit earlier. Inject Dallas Wilson into this Florida offense, and all of a sudden things start to seemingly be opened up. that battle between Dallas Wilson, who is as impressive of a freshman wide receiver as you'll see, 6'3", 215 pounds, can run really, really well vertically down the field, up against the wily veteran Will Lee. And I'll say this still, I think Will Lee might be better suited to deal with the cat like Dallas Wilson. Because guess what Will Lee has that a lot of those Texas defensive backs didn't have? He's big, man. He can put hands on you. He can be very, very competitive at the catch point. Will Lee, Dallas Wilson, that seems like a matchup that is very important in terms of the outcome that we'll see in this football game here.
That's what you get, because when Florida has them in balance, everything else is falling apart, particularly the pass pro. That, to me, again, that's why I think Florida probably has fewer passes this game, because Texas A&M, frankly, when they don't run the ball well, they've been able to find other stuff. Their quick game's been pretty effective. Their ability to get the ball out to their receivers, like they have kind of answers right now. Florida, when their rushing attack is kind of like stalled, like you saw it in the second half against USF. You saw it pretty much throughout the whole game against Miami. You've seen it stall out, and you've seen Florida's offense really kind of go down the tubes.
Sure.
To me, like it 100% is predicated on if Florida can run the ball okay, well, then DJ Lagway, things kind of open up for him, and he has the weapons. When this passing attack's kind of coming.
Because I started with Dallas Wilson. It's Vernell Brown. It's J. Mike. It's Eugene Wilson. Eugene Wilson might be pass catch wide receiver 4 on this team. And that's not a huge knock on Eugene Wilson. It's more like Florida's got some absolute guys in this wide receiver room. Texas A&M's ability to tackle in space, which, again, has been really good lately, going to be a storyline in this one too. Let's get into the pick here. Texas A&M 7, and it opened at 9.5, has gotten bet down to 7.5 points. Dill, who are you taking here?
I'm going to go back against the wall, Billy, to cover this one.
It's not a bad pick.
I was really impressed with that Florida team, just the way they physically handled that Texas team. And Texas, again, like I still think people should like go harken back that Ohio State game, where I think Texas, if you kind of like aggregate the line of scrimmage play, was frankly quite a bit better in that game. They just got shot in the foot by a horrible performance from Arch Manning. Florida dominated them thoroughly up front. I think that's going to be a hard kind of task to overcome for A&M, and that's kind of a decent-sized spread, frankly, for a Florida team that isn't, like, dramatically at all less talented than
It's a crazy move by you, by the way. I mean, you've been gassing Texas A&M for the last 2 weeks, all just to.
But there's no bigger Florida fan than me. You're down with the ship on Florida, and again, like I'd probably lean Texas A&M to win this game because I just don't have a ton of confidence in Billy. I have a ton of confidence on the other side with Mike Elko, and let's kind of turn this thing around a little bit. But 7.5 points is a lot of points in this type of game.
That's the reason I'm going with Texas A&M. It's like, number one, what version of Florida do I get? I'm not exactly sold that I'm going to get the same version that we just saw 24 hours ago. More importantly than that, and you mentioned it, Texas A&M's got a lot of different avenues to win this game. Number one, can they just run the football against what I have question marks about their interior defensive line? Can Florida tackle them in space? If this is a slower game where you're leaning on your defense, well, guess what? I just saw Texas A&M have their 2 best defensive performances under Mike Elko the last 2 weeks. I'll take Texas A&M. They're the more confident team as well, and they're at home. It's going to be a night game. Ton of buzz around this program right now. The environments in College Station have been absolutely electric. I'm going to take Texas A&M. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.